this is my very clean UI, and I hope you like it. And if you do, I'm going to give you a tour now of all the different things that are here and not here to make things look the way I want them to. And I'm going to be having, if not I already do have, full videos on each one of these add-ons. I'm very heavy on add-ons and trying to help you guys polish off your game and make it as efficient and fun as possible. So you can see right here that I don't have a lot of clutter going on my screen. It's all very, very clean. This actually is a weak aura around my mouse. It's a circle so that whenever I'm holding down my right click, I know where my mouse is. If I'm going to be casting sigils or some sort of AoE abilities that I want to cast, I can know where my mouse is whenever I right click and I'm turning my camera around. So it helps me with that. It also has a cast bar on there as well. So whenever I cast, it has a cast bar on it. That's a whole separate weak aura that I'm going to be talking about with weak auras in the weak aura video. But anyway, this is going to be the tour guide of what is going on with this UI. So starting off here in the center, all of this is weak auras. All of this stuff right here in the center are weak auras. This is not, and this is not. I'll get to that here in a second. But these are just weak auras. And whenever I'm in combat, let's see if I jump over here in the combat, I start using stuff. I have things popping up on the screen. I have abilities come up whenever I use them. Cooldowns and all this kind of stuff is popping up. Things are glowing, all that stuff. Okay, awesome, great. Whoa, 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 calm down. That is all the stuff, the action packed here. I like it to be just a little bit below my screen. I also have demon spikes around the center of my screen so that I can see that. Different buffs that are important to keep up. And, which speaking of buffs, we'll go up here and start off in the top right corner. So these are my buffs. And in general, you always have like tabard buffs and long-term buffs and all these different types of stuff. And I have a tabard buff on right now, but you can't see it because I don't care about constantly seeing that on my character screen. If you're fine with it, cool. This is Raven buff bar. This is a Raven buff bar add-on. This is where my buffs go. Underneath that, if I use my demon spikes, this is a short-term buff, so it goes here in the short-term buff row. And then I have a debuff row that goes in right here. So it's all very nicely organized of long-term buffs. Anything 30 seconds or shorter goes here, and then debuffs go here. Awesome. It works out really great. This is Khalil's quest tracker. I'll have a list of all of these down in the description as well. But this is Khalil's quest tracker. It is amazing. I can click on this. It brings up the quest. It shows me what's going on. If it has any sort of things next to it, if I'm tracking them, if I'm in the same zone, it has certain modes where you can shift into, like, it only shows you the quest if you're in that zone that you're currently in. Super awesome. It's just very clean. You can customize. I like purple, so I've made this purple, and it's just very, very clean. And there's a cool keybind where I can press a keybind button and it hides it for me. So I really love that as well. So I'm going to hide that now. And it keeps it clean, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, and you can fully move it around wherever you want. And the same thing with this Raven buffs. You can move them around wherever you want. Then down here, going in, this is Sexy Map. I do have a video for that. Sexy Map, you can move all these things around wherever you want. I have something set to where only as you see it right now, there's nothing on there, but if I have a cursor, this is Minimap Button Bag, and when I click it, it shows every sort of add-on that has a minimap button thing on it. It only shows for a couple seconds, and then it goes away, and that's as much as I need. It keeps this looking nice and clean as well. Absolutely love that add-on. This is details, of course, details. I have two windows for my tank, is damage done and avoidable damage done. I also have a third one if I need it for healing or something whenever I'm on my healer, but this is my damage details bar. And before I get to the big ones here, this is Pratt, my chat box over here. You can't see it because my camera's over it, but I use Pratt, which is, I mean, that's pretty basic. So now some of the big things to get the overall UI here is you can't see this right now, but I also have this down here. You can't see it unless I mouse over it. This is Dominoes. I use Dominoes in conjunction with shadowed unit frames, and Dominoes plus shadowed unit frames is the best. It is better than LVUI. It's more simple than LVUI. Oh my God, LVUI is so complicated. It's just too much. It's just too much. I have shadowed unit frames. So for shadowed unit frames, I want to show you this. This is the shadowed unit frames. I do have a full video on shadowed unit frames. So if I unlock these, you can see where everything's at. Now this might look crazy right now, but this is unlocking all the frames so you can see all of the frames and where I've put them. This is my player frame health bar. I like it right in the center. I'm a tank. I want this right in the center. In fact, for all my characters, I kind of do like to have this in the center so I know what my own health is at. And there's that. Targets over here. Sometimes I'd like to put the targets a little bit higher up and close, but for the most part, I am looking at my targets based on the health bars. But in boss fights where the target's too big or something, then this can be helpful. And what the target's targeting, done. Focus targets right here. All of this shadowed unit frames. Party frames over here. My pet's right there with that. Raid frames over here. Battlegrounds, bosses, all this other kind of miscellaneous frames over here. And done. Lock the frames. They go away. Awesome. Nice. And dominoes. For dominoes here, I'm going to go to my minimap button bag and click dominoes. there are all the bars of where I've put them. I don't have a Domino's cast bar, and they have 10 action bars for you. Action bars 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through to 10, and then I have a cast bar here. All of these opacities, you can see whenever I scroll on them, the opacity, they're all set to 0, and I just shove them off up here in the corner. I don't need those. But if I want to use them for something cool like this, I'll talk about in a second, I can. Cast bar, I use quartz. I'll show you that here in a second. And the alerts, or whenever you get items to roll on, you can put those here. Talking head for quest text, I can put this wherever I want. I can make it as big or small. All of these, I can change the scale to be as big or small as I want. I mean, I can make it huge talking head, or I can go all the way down back to normal. And I can also scroll the mouse wheel to individually change it. Super easy. Extra bars for whenever you're in some sort of, if you have a quest objective, or some sort of, like if you're in streets and you have that little item you get and you have to use the item, you can have it right here. You can also bind that ability, but that's, hopefully you're binding that anyway. Possession bar, vehicle, exit vehicle button, all of those things are easily movable. It's all beautiful. It's all very beautiful. And then I have these that are hidden. So what I hide those by going to the fading settings, and I turn the opacity all the way down. You can have the opacity up and leave those up all the time, but I have those faded all the way down so that whenever I'm not using them, they are faded and you can't see them at all. This is a special button. If I go back to Domino's, I have a special thing here for action button 6. If you look at these, I can add them all back in, and there's now 12 buttons. It's a full action bar now. I have this down to just 1 because this is my mount. And I have a special combat setting on it where it only shows up if I'm not in combat. So right now I'm not in combat, that's my mount. But if I jump into combat, it goes away, right? So, and then that also helps me, and I do like to see that there, so that if I'm running and I'm trying to drop combat, and there it is, I'm out of combat, I can mount now, right? And there's my cast bar. So there's Quartz cast bar. You can see the cast bar. I am on a demon hunter, so this is all I can cast. But there you go. That's the cast bar, what it looks like. You can change the house. It's big and thick and color and all that kind of stuff it is. And then that's really Domino's. And as far as this goes, I can hide and show it. And this is a nice other feature of Domino's. I will have a full feature video on Domino's as well. The only other add-ons that I run, I have a whole video macros too. Deadly boss mods. I do run deadly boss mods that you'll see. Angry Keystone, Bag Brother, and Bagnon help me with my bags. So that if I open my bags up here, you can see all my bags are organized in that way. So that's nice. Blizz Move helps me move the little frames around of things that I'm not messing around with touching. Capping is a good add-on for PvP and watching any sort of timers in battlegrounds and stuff. I love that. Can I Moggets for transmog, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Cinematic Canceller is just something for, I don't care to see the cinematics. I'll probably turn that off though when the expansion comes out, because I want to see those cinematics, you know what I'm saying? Diminish is a PvP thing I usually keep that right here for any sort of diminishing returns on your character, another PvP thing. Domino's is Domino's, and Gladius is for PvP. I usually have that right here on my screen. Handy Notes is only something for Ouroboros right now that I use to be able to see stuff in Ouroboros, but that can be helpful to be able to find stuff, especially if you're looking for things involving quests or objectives like that. Khalil's Tracker is the quest tracker I talked about. Max Cam, I use Max Cam to kind of get my camera all the way back as far as it can. Minimap Button Bag, showed you that one. Moggets for transmogs. Omni CC and Omni CD and all that stuff, I always recommend having those, is whenever you have shadowed unit frames right here, you can unlock it, and you can set this up to where you can see your party's cooldowns and stuff. I have mine on the left hand side because I don't really care that much about it, and this is kind of encroaching in on my personal space. So I have this show up on the side, and then the other add-ons is where whenever you use an ability, you see the big cooldown numbers over it, so that kind of helps there. Back to add-ons. Opie is a great add-on. You can't see right now, but if you've watched my streams or anything like that, you might see sometimes I have this little travel thing come up, and there's a Hearthstone, or I can Darlow in Hearthstone, or I can Cape that gives me a teleport, Wormhole Generator. So all I'm doing is pressing a single button. This is a single one button on my keyboard, and this comes up whenever I press it. And then I can just move my mouse up, down, left, right, center, or whatever, and I can use that spell, whether it's an item, spell, ability, whatever, mount, anything. And then I also have something where, let's see, button 6 is raid target markers. So if I want to put a raid target marker, I can do that. I can flick it to the side. There's a skull. I can go over here. There's a circle. I can go over here. There's a star. And I can go over here and clear them all, right? So that's all very easily pressable. And right now, this is a good example. So you see how right now I'm going to clear it. Right now I'm targeting this target dummy. And if I press 6, that button comes up. But if you see, I don't have my mouse, my hand's not my mouse. You see there's this little white arrow next to my mouse cursor. You see how the arrow's swirling around, and you see it swirling following my mouse cursor, right? So let me clear it out. Is whenever I press this button, you can set up this thing to default to a certain thing. So it's going to default to the skull, and it marks the skull. It always defaults to skull every time I press it, unless I move the mouse and now it's square or whatever, right? So Anyway, that's Opie is a very, very good add-on. Love that. I have a pie for pre-buffs before you do a dungeon or raid. I have my food and drinks and flasks and all that kind of stuff. Lots of different. I have a focus target thing right here where I can just press it and there's my focus target, or I can press it and it clears my focus target. Opie is very good, and that's an add-on that you don't even see. It's just working in the background and you don't even see it. It helps me keep my UI very, very clean instead of having to click around. I used to put my hearthstones here and I have to mouse over and then click on them and stuff. So Opie is great for that too. Let's keep going back to the add-ons. And Quartz, we talked about that. Personal loot helper is just to whisper people about getting loot. Pratt is my chat bar. We talked about that. And quest completist is nice. If you don't know if you've completed a quest or not, it logs every single quest you've ever completed. That's a nice add-on. Raider IO is just for background stuff. Raven's the buff bar. Saved instances lets me know what instances I'm saved to. It's just a nice interface there. Simple eye level lets me know people's eye level. Simulation crash lets me sim my gear. Threat plates is the add-on I use for my target rate. I have a whole video for that. So if you want to have the threat plates of how you can see all the health bars and stuff, that's threat plates. Weak auras is weak auras. I have 2 videos on that. And speedy auto loot is actually pretty nice. It just literally like loots it and you don't even see the loot window. It's massively fast. And then deadly boss mods. I usually have my deadly boss mods text right about here, scrolling in, letting me see what's going on. And that is the lovely tour of my UI. So if you like what you see there, I appreciate that. I hope this helps in any sort of way. I have full videos describing everything if you want to try and get a similar UI, or hopefully take inspiration from my UI, customize it and tweak it to make it your own. If you want to do that, hopefully you can watch these videos. I've obviously free videos on the channel. You can go check those out. But if you want to get direct imports and literally copy paste my UI straight into your game right away with no work required, think about joining my Patreon. On Patreon, I have all of my stuff on there. I have made custom videos for my patrons to answer specific questions. I just posted one recently, and I'm super excited to be able to help you guys play the game in the most efficient and fun way possible. So thank you, and stay creative. Think outside the box. Peace.